Hi, it's so great to see all of you. We'll be starting in just another couple minutes, but I wanted to check in to make sure we're all set for this presentation. Shindig was intentionally chosen for this event in order to maximize your participation, allowing you to make your own contributions, privately network with fellow attendees, or even join the stage with principal speakers. With that in mind, let's make sure your microphone and camera are all set. For desktop and laptop users, make sure you've allowed your browser access. If the system failed to detect your camera and microphone, click on the gear in the upper right-hand corner and choose the microphone and camera you're most comfortable with. If you're still having a problem, try to refresh your browser. If an issue persists, quit all other applications that might have access to your camera and microphone, quit your browser, and then re-enter the event using the same browser, or you can use a different one. Mobile users, you've got nothing to worry about. Your camera and mic will turn on automatically as needed. So one more time, if you want to engage in a private conversation with another attendee, simply click on the participant's image, introduce yourself, and enjoy the event together. Your host will be with you shortly. Have fun! Hi, it's so great to see all of you. We'll be starting in just another couple minutes, but I wanted to check in to make sure we're all set for this presentation. Shindig was intentionally chosen for this event in order to maximize your participation, allowing you to make your own contributions, privately network with fellow attendees, or even join the stage with principal speakers. With that in mind, let's make sure your microphone and camera are all set. For desktop and laptop users, make sure you've allowed your browser access. If the system failed to detect your camera and microphone, click on the gear in the upper right-hand corner and choose the microphone and camera you're most comfortable with. If you're still having a problem, try to refresh your browser. If an issue persists, quit all other applications that might have access to your camera and microphone. Quit your browser and then re-enter the event using the same browser, or you can use a different one. Mobile users, you've got nothing to worry about. Your camera and mic will turn on automatically as needed. So one more time, if you want to engage in a private conversation with another attendee, simply click on the participant's image, introduce yourself, and enjoy the event together. Your host will be with you shortly. Have fun!
Good afternoon. I'm Paula Lashinsky, Vice President and Brand Director for Convenience Store News, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the kickoff of our three-part virtual technology leadership series. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces this afternoon and to have the opportunity to chat one-on-one, if only virtually. A little bit of a tech tip for the best production And best use of the technology, I'd encourage everyone to close out any of the other tabs in your browsers. Then when we have our networking break after the fireside chat, it'll be very easy for you just to walk over or mouse over and talk to some of the other attendees. We're really excited to bring you this series, replete with all the hallmarks of a great event. Thought-provoking educational content, lively discussion, and the opportunity to network with peers and partners. Now, for a sneak peek into the future, please join me in virtually welcoming to the podium Don Longo, Executive Editor, Convenience Store News.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all here online. I know we'd all prefer to be meeting in person over a steak dinner, but of course, everyone has had to pivot and adjust to these unprecedented times. This is part one of our three-part virtual technology leadership series, in which we once again share best practices and discuss the future technology needs of the convenience store industry. Today's session will kick off with a conversation I had earlier this week with Sebastian, Vice President of Digital Experiences at Casey's General Stores, which operates over 2,000 convenience stores, mostly in small towns across multiple states in the United States. We chatted about the future of the digital convenience store and Casey's journey along the way toward optimizing an exceptional digital guest experience. After that discussion, Art will be joined by two distinguished convenience store technology leaders, Jeremy Myron of Road Ranger, operators of 40 travel stops in the Midwest and Southwest United States, and Howard Heitch of Refuel Operating Company, which operates 86 refuel and double quick convenience stores, and our sponsor, Mike Welsh, who is the Chief Creative Officer of Mobiquity, a global digital consultancy that works with many of the world's leading brands in helping them understand, apply, and engage with technology in meaningful ways. Our conversation may touch on a number of technology subjects, but we'll be focused on contactless payments, online ordering, other payment options, curbside pickup, and home delivery. After our discussion, you in the audience will have an opportunity to pose questions to our panelists. But first, let's roll the video of my conversation with Art Sebastian of Casey's General Stores. Hi again, everyone. I'm Don Longo, Editorial Director of Convenience Store News. Let me introduce our featured speaker today. Art Sebastian is the Vice President of Digital Experiences at Casey's General Stores, and he has been in this role since late 2018. As VP Digital Experiences, he is responsible for leading the development and implementation of the company's e-commerce business, digital technologies, guest loyalty program, digital marketing, and guest insights and analytics. Art joined Casey's from Meijer, where he was Vice President of Digital Shopping, responsible for the e-commerce business, digital product management, digital marketing, and new business ventures. Prior to Meijer, he spent 6 years at Kraft Foods as Vice President of Category Leadership and Shopper Insights. Before Kraft, Art worked at analytics and consulting firm IRI Worldwide and with Albertsons. He holds a bachelor's of business administration from the University of DeVry, Chicago. He, his wife, and 3 children currently reside in Des Moines, Iowa. So thank you, Art, for agreeing to speak to us today about the important topic of the digital convenience store experience. Let's start out by defining what is meant by digital experience. What do you mean when you say retailers need to develop and implement a digital guest strategy, and why is it important?
Yeah, hey, Don, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you about the work we're doing here at Casey's. When I think about it more broadly, our objective at Casey's is to create a much more modern and contemporary business model essentially to deepen the relationship with our guests. And the area that we started with is digital guest-facing experiences. So what I mean by that is we stood up our first ever CRM. We launched our mobile website. We launched our native mobile apps, and eventually our loyalty program. All of this is really important because, as you know, consumers really want to engage with retailers and restaurants in a much more digital manner, and they want to have choices on how they engage. So really important to us. And, I think the understatement of the year is digital is the new normal. So that's what I mean by that, Don.
Great, great. So when you joined Casey's about 2 years ago, where was the retailer in its development of a digital strategy?
Yeah, when I joined Casey's 2 years ago, the company had been around for about 50 years, has really done well. I don't know how much many know about Casey's, but we have more than 2,200 stores across 16 states. And what's interesting is about half of those stores are in small towns. And like I said, Casey's has been around for 50 years and has been really successful, but we were behind in digital. And so when I joined, there was an initiative that kicked off to begin the digital transformation work. We had the partner on board in Deloitte Digital to help us think about what the vision was, what our early technology needs were. And we were in the very early phases of starting to build a team. I think when I had arrived, there were 3 folks plus our partners at Deloitte Digital. So it really was just the beginning. And I got to tell you, Don, I never hit the ground running so fast as I did when I joined Casey's. And so we started first off with organizing all of our guest data into the Salesforce CRM. So we had data sitting in multiple repositories, and we had to get that into one area so we can organize it, clean it, and understand who our guests were. So I would call that sort of the first priority when I arrived. We also stood up our marketing automation tool. And so we partner with Salesforce Marketing Cloud to do things like send our email, send our SMSs, and our app push notifications. And so one of the things that we did early on when I arrived was we shifted to communicating to our guests and subscriber base on a much more frequent basis. And as we increased that frequency, we had to put a lot of time and effort into what messaging we were sharing with our guests, what promotion, what deals, what was the creative visuals and content. So, again, Don, a lot going on when I first joined, and I look back at it now, and it was certainly an exciting time, but it hasn't slowed down a bit since then either.
It seems like everything is going twice as fast as it did last year. It seems like, yep. So what steps did you identify as being critical in the early development of your digital assets?
Like I talked about earlier, organizing our guest data into the CRM was critical. You really, can't move much further without having that data organized. So all of our first party data in one location, organized, cleansed, deduped, all of that was a top priority for us. Another area that was a really important phase was sort of developing our API first technology approach. And so what I mean by that, Don, is we thought it was important to have a services layer integration layer that would allow us to democratize data and move information from one system to another in a much more consistent way. So, in addition to spending time on our guest data, we spent a lot of time thinking about our services integration layer. And we partner with a company called MuleSoft to stand that up. That's a critical piece in our technology stack.
Absolutely. So what challenges, expected or unexpected, did you face as you developed this digital strategy?
Oh boy, what challenges! There's so many challenges, right? Anytime you're standing up a new technology stack, there's a lot of planning that needs to go into that. As I referenced earlier, we put a services layer on, so there's a lot of integration work that needed to be done. And so as you're standing up your technology stack, we spent a lot of time on what QA and testing and automation would look like for us here at Casey. So just a lot of technical work to get the system stood up. We also spent quite a bit of time talking to our guests to make sure that we understood what they wanted, what they needed from us, and what experiences and set of features would resonate the most. So I'd say we went out in the field and talked to a lot of our guests. We did your typical things like surveys, but also intercept in our stores. We spent some time in focus groups, you know, and again, that's important to us as we are designing experiences to meet guest needs. The other thing I would say, Don, that we spent a lot of time on early on is thinking through what change management looks like for Casey. And so as you build new digital experiences for guests, it required us to work differently internally. And so it might be planning differently. It might be securing the right resources, the right talent, the right skills, might be partnering across the organization differently. And I can tell you it required a lot of partnership with our store operations teams as well.
Yeah, it's always a big thing. Again, the operations area in alignment with the technology strategy. So what are the key ways that Casey's currently engages with its customers in a digital way?
Yeah, I think a lot of similarities to other retailers and restaurant operators. We clearly engage with our guests through our website, our mobile apps. We also engage to our guests through marketing automation, so our emails, SMSs, and app pushes I referenced earlier. We run digital campaigns that we promote through social media. That's another great way to engage our guests. So a lot of the typical ways that a retailer would do so. What I would say sets it apart is we're always thinking about the guest experience and the guest needs and bringing guest insights to the center of those engagements. And I think more and more companies are starting to put their guests or their customer first. We're certainly putting a heavy emphasis on that. Another thing that we're super excited about, Don, is earlier this year in January, we launched Casey's Reward. That's our loyalty program. And that's a primary vehicle for us to engage our guests. Our loyalty program, I think, is unique and different and sort of sets us apart from others. Like many loyalty programs, our guests spend money and they earn points. So that part's pretty similar. But what's unique is our guests can convert those points into either Casey's Cash, which works like currency, into fuel discounts, or they can convert those points into donations to a local school. And so it's really a unique value proposition where we give our guests choice on how to redeem those points. But I also think this connection to local schools is pretty unique. So I'd say, Don, that's one of the most interesting ways we're engaging our guests today.
How many members are there in the loyalty program for Casey's?
Don,
today?
we were off to a pretty fast
Approximately.
start. Yeah, we're off to a pretty fast start when we launched in January, and then obviously the global pandemic impacted everybody. But we're on the cusp of 3 million members here in
Wow.
the short term. So we're very fortunate to have grown our member base so quickly. But with that comes a lot of focus on making sure that we're building a program that our guests want to engage with, that adds value to their lives, and that makes the job a lot of fun.
That's great. And you got to remember, that's the 3 million people in those small towns that you mentioned, which is even more impressive that you're able to reach that number. Terrific
Absolutely.
job.
Yeah.
Let's come back to something you mentioned, COVID-19. So what impact has COVID-19 pandemic had on the development and implementation of your digital strategy?
Yeah, it's probably like a lot of other retailers where the global pandemic forced us to think about the digital space and technology much differently. For us, I would say it certainly accelerated our effort. The role that digital and particularly e-commerce and loyalty played for our company just increased. We all have seen the growth in consumers ordering online, ordering ahead, ordering on the mobile app. And so our e-commerce business has really grown nicely. The broad impact it had on us as a company was it really forced us to look at our roadmap differently. And there's a few things that we did. We accelerated our focus on delivery. Delivery was always in our roadmap. As a matter of fact, we've already offered delivery, but we pulled it earlier in our roadmap and accelerated our focus. And so we've been working with third-party marketplace partners like DoorDash and Uber Eats to accelerate delivery. We also pulled up a Curbside Pickup, which was on our roadmap, but in the later years. So we pulled that up. And really, the reason for that, Don, is we believe that Curbside Pickup offers our guests another safe and convenient option. And it's safe because it's effectively no contact, and it's convenient because you can order anytime, anywhere from our mobile app, pull up to our store, pop your trunk, and we'll place the order right in your trunk. So it really, the global pandemic pushed us to accelerate certain initiatives. And what I'm really proud about, Don, is we had invested in building out our technology stack in a very flexible manner with our APIs service layer, that it allowed us to move much quicker as we had to develop these new experiences. And so that put us really in a good spot. We were much more nimble and able to react accordingly.
Great. That's terrific. But without giving away any secrets, what would you say will be the future emphasis of your efforts going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'd say in the digital space, there's so much to get done, right? Things are changing around us so rapidly. I guess a couple of areas that stand out to me. We're going to continue to put more emphasis on our guests. And so guest insights and the analytics from our loyalty program will be a heavy focus for us in the near future. Another area that we'll spend a lot more time on is the continued shift from mass marketing to more segmented marketing. I'll give you an example of that. Today in the loyalty program in Casey's Rewards, we've got several offers in the app. And these offers are for CPG products, might be discounted or might be giving fuel points or bonus points. And most of those offers are for every member. If you fast forward to a future state, I think we'll put a little bit more focus on having the right offers for the right members. And so that'll be a heavy emphasis for us in the future here.
Makes a whole lot of sense. That's the way the future. That's the way the future's going for all retailing. I think that's great. All right. Well, any final thoughts on what the convenience store industry needs to do to hold on to their key competitive strength, which is, quote, convenience, when you have every other type of retailer in the world trying to encroach on that convenience aspect?
Yeah, Don, I think as convenience retailers, we're in a very unique position to win with our guests. We've got more locations closer to the guests than your traditional retailers. We're on every corner, and we can be have a dense presence in some of the markets and some of the towns. I think the number one rule in convenience retailing is you've got to be convenient. So I think listening to your guests, keeping your digital and in-store experiences easy and simple, but also playing up your strengths. Like for us at Casey's, we're really unique because of our prepared foods and pizza offering. We've got a pretty robust grocery offering, and we've got the fuel. And so we pull that together through programs like our mobile app or Casey's Rewards. And so, I think for convenience stores, listening to your guests and playing up your strengths, I think those are some of the keys I would suggest for the industry.
I mean, Casey's has been so famous for its pizza. Does that really help give you a real quick entry into the delivery business? Because pizza is such a product that customers are so used to getting by delivery. Does that help you get into that business a lot quicker?
Yeah, Don, we've actually been delivering pizza as a company for 9 years. And so we've been in the delivery business for quite some time. I think some folks know this, but Casey's is the 5th largest seller of pizzas in the U.S. And so the delivery business isn't new to us. Now, admittedly, we've got a lot of opportunity to improve that experience for our guests, and that's a big emphasis of my team. But we also have this unique ability to bring grocery essentials and other convenience items and make that available for our guests. And what we're starting to see, Don, is a guest may order 2 whole pies dinner on a Friday night, but they may add additional grocery items that they know they need, but doesn't necessarily require another trip to the grocery store. So, again, when I made the comment earlier about playing to some of your unique strengths, we're certainly trying to do that while offering more convenience to our guests.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are, and you just kind of reemphasize how busy you are with all the things that you guys are doing. So we really appreciate your time and sharing your insights with our audience. Now, after a short break, we will return and we'll see you all again at our retailer roundtable coming up in a couple of minutes. Thank you again, Art. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Don.
Hi again. I hope you found that interesting. Art is one of the most forward-thinking, innovative innovators in the convenience industry and the technology side, and we're thrilled to have him live today to join our panel. So if you have any questions for Art, save them for the end of our panel discussion. Now, as our panelists prepare for the roundtable discussion, I encourage all of you to use the following few minutes to, again, say hi to one another, network a little bit, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes with our 4 panelists. So thank you. Thank you all. We'll see you again in a couple of minutes. So let me thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day to participate in this roundtable discussion. For our panel today, we have Jeremy Myron. Jeremy is CIO of Road Ranger. He has been leading technology in convenience retailing for 20 years. He is the current chairman of the board of the industry's Young Executives Association. Based in Rockford, Illinois, Road Ranger operates 40 travel stops that are open 24/7, 365 days a year, conveniently located along the most well-traveled highways and interstates across the Midwest and Southwest United States. Thank you for joining us today, Jeremy.
Thank you, Don. Nice to be here.
We also have with us Howard Heisch. Howard is Vice President of Technology for Refuel Operating Company. Refuel is based in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and operates 86 sites under the Refuel and Double Quick brands. Prior to Refuel, Howard was the VP of Technology for Double Quick and worked for several technology vendors, including the Pinnacle Corporation and Wayne. Thank you for being with us today, Howard.
Thanks, Don. Nice to see you again.
And Mike Welsh, he's the Chief Creative Officer at Mobiquity. He's leading a team of experienced architects, experienced designers, and conversational designers to deliver engaging and compelling solutions in collaboration with engineers who bring these solutions to life. He has been doing this for 27 years, having joined Mobiquity near its beginning. Mike notes that what originally drew him to his role is the ability to transform experiences for companies and their customers. What keeps him and his team engaged is the opportunity to find out what truly transforms human experience and then bring it to life. He's a firm believer in the power of a team and its ability to create impact derived from insights. Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me.
And of course, I've already introduced you to Art Sebastian, VP of Digital Experiences at Casey's, the fourth largest convenience store chain in the nation. And as Art mentioned earlier, the fifth largest pizza chain. Art, thank you for joining us today. I know we know how busy you are, so I really appreciate you being here, Art.
Thanks, Don.
So a reminder to the audience, you can use the question mark button on the bottom of your screen to pose questions to our panelists throughout the roundtable. Those questions will then be sent to me electronically, and I'll ask them on your behalf. So please do that at any time, but I won't start the audience questions till the end of our session, okay? So let's start out with a question for the retailers. What has been your most impressive technology success of the past year? And let's start with Howard.
All right, Don. Yep. Well, for us in the last year, I worked for Double Quick, and we were purchased in February by Refuel. So we actually went through that whole acquisition through the pandemic, and it was all closed remotely. And then at that point in time, we converted all the Double Quicks to a Refuel instance of PDI. And then since then, we've converted every store in South Carolina to PDI. So it's been kind of a year of getting the foundation in place so we can grow some more. So that's really what we've been working on so far.
Sure. It's probably a similar issue that many companies have faced with all the mergers and acquisitions that have occurred in the convenience store industry over the past few years. Congrats on getting that all under control.
Thanks.
Jeremy, how about at Road Ranger? What would you describe as your most impressive technology success of the past year?
I think, there's two sides of tech. There's tech operations and then tech innovation. And, it's all really the same competency, but, it really is kind of sometimes two competing interests. And so, the beginning of the pandemic, tech operations was where we channeled all the energy, to just get people working remotely and, change the way that we do business and manage the company. But we quickly had to, switch out of that gear back over to tech innovation and things like third-party delivery, delivery from the stores with companies like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates, just about every third-party platform, in our various footprints, we stood up on an accelerated time frame. Getting that kind of stuff going. And then lastly, we were just finishing up a point of sale conversion. So a big strategic back end system conversion. And we were in the final stages of it when the shutdowns started taking effect. And so we were able actually to get that finished and pull that off and get done with that, which was a key prerequisite to enabling some of the other things we needed to do to be ready. So, I'm really proud of my team, and, I'm proud of the industry at large. I think the folks, especially running tech in our industry, that did a great job. I think our industry did well reacting to, to the changing customer needs and that sort of thing. And, we've been, kind of a place of refuge, I think, for our customer bases across the country. So, I think that was really the story here at Road Ranger, but it was the story for the industry at large.
Yeah, I think the industry at large really rose to the occasion in a lot of ways as an essential business during this crisis. So great job, Jeremy. Art, you mentioned a number of things Casey's been working on or has accomplished in the past year or two since you were there. So put you on the spot now. Pick one. What do you think was the most impressive of those accomplishments?
Yeah, Don. I guess if I were to highlight one, it would be the launch of our mobile app, which we've just about cycled a year. And for us, it was really getting caught up with the rest of the industry, launching native mobile apps on iOS and Android. And if you download our app and go through the experience, hopefully you'll see that we've made it really easy to use. We put a heavy emphasis on the photography and the visuals in our app. We made it easy to navigate promotions and deals, and start an order. But it's also the place that we house our Casey's Rewards loyalty program. And so the mobile app's been downloaded over 2 million times by 2 million users, and also is the source of more than 70% of our digital revenue. So it's become the centerpiece of our digital engagement and has really shifted us towards this mobile first design as we think about future enhancements and functionality.
Great. I would agree. That's pretty impressive. Next question. Here's a question for Mike. Mike, what considerations should be top of mind for convenience stores looking to digitally transform their customer experience?
That's a good question. So the first thing, we help the folks at Panera get their Panera 2.0 off the ground, and with Wawa and K&G and some others. The things that we tell the executives from, the C-level folks down to operators is sort of always put yourself in that consumer space. You've got about 90 seconds of a transaction with an average order value of about, say, $7. That's the whole brand experience the person's going to have. So the idea is you have to balance what experience you want to create for someone in that 90-second window, the effects on operations and labor, because if you add time, you're going to add labor costs, and across a network of stores, it could be millions of dollars a year. So when you create these digital touch points and you have them sort of out there, you always have to be thinking about how can I optimize, because the consumers have moved on. How do I, connect a fuel program to starting the actual pump digitally? How do I do that easily? Folks like P97 and some other integrators are great, but you're on their roadmap. You're not on your own roadmap. You're on somebody else's. So keeping that 90-second window in the back of your mind all the time and sort of obsessing on that really does change guest experiences across all of these C-store, QSR retailers.
Great. One retail, Jeremy, Howard, or Art, would you like could you comment? Would you like to comment on that? Do you agree with that? What are your thoughts? See, Art, you're taking ahead. Art, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, I just emphasize what Michael had said. Really focus on your customer. So, listening to them, seeking them out, understanding what motivates them, what they need, what they want. We're all going to be building digital experiences, like Jeremy said. The industry has really risen to the occasion. And stepped up our games. And so we'll all invest in tech. But I think the key for the industry will be not doing tech for tech's sake, but focusing on what's most important to your customer and building tech around that.
Yeah, I think I would kind of add a underline to what you just said. My feeling is you got to start with your brand identity. So who are you known as? Who do you want to be known as? What is your desired customer value proposition? So what do you want the customer to see your value proposition to them be? Of course, our number one value proposition has always been convenience. But we're more than that, and we can be more than that. So, make sure that you've got those things front of mind and understood, and then really don't start building anything or buying anything from anybody until you know those two things, and then let that be your roadmap for how you do it. For the roadmap for things like removing friction from the customer experience, you were saying the 90 seconds, Mike, and digitizing the transaction flows, digitizing the touch points, digitizing rewards, digitizing payments, digitizing offers. Always looking at those things with your eye on your identity and your value proposition. And then that way, you can easily decide whether or not certain features pass the smell test, whether you need to compete with a competitor who's brought something, to their digital offer or their digital identity, or maybe there are things that you need to lead with, but I think that's kind of where we're at, is trying to, there's like the spectrum of here's everything that everybody does in every app and experience, whether it's with, a food outlet or another retailer, mass market, department stores, grocery, convenience. And, I think if you just asked everybody for their opinion, we have to have all of those things, but, keeping it focused and going back to who are we and what's the value proposition of the customer really starts to make it easy to figure out what to do in what order and in what way.
One thing that we've really concentrated on is making sure our partners can help us quickly, because it seems these days we need to do everything faster than we've done it in the past, and so you need partners that are agile and have development and have bandwidth to do these projects. It's like, and Michael was commenting about that earlier, and so we've really tried to focus on that and staying in touch with our partners, technology partners, and finding out where the roadmap is and where we fit on that roadmap.
Absolutely. Thanks, Howard. I know Art has addressed this already, but for Jeremy, Howard, and Mike, what impact has COVID-19 had on technology development? Is it acted as an accelerant in any way?
So the way I look at it is COVID-19 did something that was somewhat of an accelerant in the very beginning. When everything went on lockdown, everybody wanted contactless everything. And from running into the parking lot with cones and sticks and putting numbers on them and having them, text the iPad in the store, to like a full-fledged, hey, you've got a contactless experience or curbside. With folks like Wawa, you see an acceleration of not foot traffic, but digital, right? The download rates and all that kind of stuff is going through the roof. So some of it's making sure that your house is hardened from a technology perspective. Is your cloud infrastructure really ready for, and is it quote unquote elastic? In a lot of cases it might be, but it might not be. And you might have gaps when you're trying to transmit from your fuel business into your retail business. So our advice has always been, look, stick with the consumer. You can't lose. Second, don't let the technology become the tail that wags the business's dog, or your business will pay for it, right? Your foot traffic is down 40%, but your digital traffic is up 2,000%. You have to start making choices that way. And I think that's been a lot of our advice and what we see in a lot of the work that comes through.
Yeah, I think for us, it did speed up some of our, our planning, our timetables. We implemented, mobile ordering and enhancements to our app quicker than we probably thought we would at the start of the year. So that COVID did influence those decisions, getting that out in the marketplace.
Great. Jeremy, how about at Road Ranger?
I already mentioned the delivery, but then also, contactless. We decided, we were kind of on the fence with the decision, doing the EMV upgrades to all the fuel dispensers and that sort of thing. Do we do contactless at the dispenser? It helped to make that an easy yes. So every payment position, every touch point where a customer is going to present a payment, they'll have the option of doing true contactless at every pump, at every store, at every register, and every store. So that, that was certainly something. But then, kind of bigger picture, and goes back to what Mike was saying is, and Howard mentioned in his response to the last question, it definitely helped us see that we needed to have robust platforms in place because, of course, nobody knew this was coming, and nobody knows what the next big transformative event is going to be for our industry. It may not have anything to do with a virus. It may have something to do with a new competitor or some new technology, that sort of thing. But I think for us at Road Ranger, I think we did a good job, but I also think that it was a missed opportunity, because we didn't have that platform in place. And even Art, talked about having that service layer in place and that kind of API driven architecture. I think that's that's maybe the big thing that it helped make really clear that we needed to accelerate in our 2021 tech roadmap, and even budgeting is building those platforms so that we don't get caught with an inability to quickly react and deliver, whatever it is that the customer needs from us. And when you don't have the platform and it happens, there's nothing you can do. You just, you miss the opportunity. And I think to an extent we did that. We did a good job of working around it, working with third parties and that sort of thing. But, you're not going to catch us like that again,
Right. Great. Well, we mentioned a number of different technologies already that we have been accelerated and have been due to the pandemic. I'm interested a little bit more though about online ordering. Ordering and having customers order in advance. How are you doing it? What challenges did that represent? How do you roll something out like that to customers who aren't accustomed to? You're not Amazon. I mean, we're not Amazon. So how do you roll that out to your consumer base and get them to order? Whether it's probably through a mobile app, I would assume. How does that work? So what did you face? Maybe we'll start with Art again on that.
Yeah, Don. So this is front and center for us. We've had an ordering business for many years because of our pizza business, which is a little unique in store. What we've done the last 2 years, though, is we've rebuilt our website, launched a new website, launched the new native apps, and put a much more heavy emphasis on ordering. And of course, we started with pizza because we were already there. But I think we've made that experience much better. Everything from the product imagery, the visuals, the deals, the promotions, the feature set, the ability to hit reorder, save a payment, all of that. And in the recent 6 months or so, we've added more value to that by increasing our grocery essentials assortment. So we've added soft drinks and other beverages and snacks and candies and even things that like bread and peanut butter and some OTC items. And so for us, Don, we're trying to play off of our key strengths, which is offering both hot prepared foods and groceries for our guests to order. And they can order it for in-store pickup, curbside pickup, or delivery. So I think, I guess in summary, a couple of things, right? Play up to your key strengths. Our key strengths are we play in several key categories and we can tie those things together. Focus on the technology stack that enables that and the experience that is easy to use. And so I think that helped us create the ordering experience and we're continuing to build on it.
Great. Mike, what are the best practices that you've seen when it comes to introducing mobile ordering?
Yeah. So one of the things that a lot of businesses will struggle with, and we've seen it again with Panera, Wawa, Come and Go, and some others, is the concept of a infrastructure that can support it. Right now, they're dealing with 3 or 4 trucks coming to every store in their network and sort of hand to mouth. Everybody knows that when you have a store footprint, it has a set of criteria that goes with it. The one thing about mobile is you may have a kiosk, you may not have a kiosk, you may have multiple ways of ordering. So you could have calling in for pizza and your pizza oven makes a pizza in 8 minutes. So what the apps have to do and the infrastructure has to do is figure out a best menu authoring solution you can come up with for those made to order items. Understand the kitchen timing for things. So how does the kitchen production system actually do its thing? In some cases, if you're dealing with fuel, how many gallons per minute are you rolling through that system? Because then you can do a sort of busy index. So you can deal with labor in a different way. So what we try to help folks do is take a holistic look about how much data is laying around in the operation and then feed that into something that allows you to make choices about, is your operation ready to do this? Can you do made to order? Can you do, age restricted items, right? Altria is going to put an offer out. We all want to take advantage of it. How do you do that digitally in the most efficient way possible? Prevent over redemption from a how do you actually do that kind of stuff and avoid escheatment and things? And then how do you make sure that when you order something, the infrastructure for menu authoring is there, that if you run out of an item, for example, everybody's, operators always say, oh, I'm never going to run out of anything. Well, we've seen it many times in an environment where they do run out and they have no way of locking it out. So hook up the headset to an Alexa in the kitchen and lock out stuff from the associate's headset. And then that shuts down the menu authoring so the items don't appear on the phone. And those are lots of different ways of handling that, but that's sort of some of the best practice stuff that we've recommended to some of our clients.
Oh, some good ideas there. Jeremy or Howard?
We don't have any first party delivery in app or anything like that. So Don, I think your question was, how are customers responding to it and how are we making them aware of it and getting that penetration? And because we're not enrolling them ourselves, we're not doing that. There may be some placards in the store, that sort of thing, but they're really DoorDash's customer, and Uber Eats' customer, and that's kind of a problem. I mean, it's nice that they're bringing the customers to us, but it's also a problem. And so, we're certainly looking at that and trying to figure out how do we enroll them directly with us instead of via these third-party platforms.
Right. I was going to ask that as a follow-up to the delivery question. When do you think or how do you think the industry can take over delivery on their own rather than going to some of these third parties, which I believe cut quite a bit into your margins? So, Howard, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some of the third party, especially with our QSRs that we have, and it's been a benefit to us. But we're not totally happy with how that comes into the store and the integration to the point of sale and the problems that it creates for us. So we've tried to do mobile ordering on our own, with our app. It's just an extension of our point of sale. So in that case, everything's flowing directly from the phone to the kitchen video, to the fulfillment tablet, all the way to the point of sale. And the customer is either paying on the app or coming in with a barcode and they can scan it themselves and the order's right up and they're paid and they're out the door. So that's kind of been one thing we wanted to make sure is that it's all integrated within the store. And then delivery, we've done some delivery ourselves, but we're not experts in that, and we still have a long way to go and a lot to learn about that. So I don't want to point us out as doing anything great in that area yet. More to come because we need to learn a lot about that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Hey, John, I'd like to jump in a little bit because we do spend a lot of time talking about the guest-facing experiences, which is fun to talk about the websites, the mobile apps, and the third-party partners. Mike made me think about something. We've also spent a lot of time on what we call store team member enablement. And so some of the big buckets in there that help fuel our digital ordering business. We built all the integrations from third parties to our point of sale. That's got to be seamless. A company of our size can't have numerous tablets in our store. And so we've done that work, and the API-led strategy enables that. The other thing that we've done is we still take a big chunk of orders in via telephone. And when I arrived here at Casey's, those orders were handwritten and pieces of paper kind of worked their way to the kitchen. We built a technology, we call it our kitchen order management system. And so as orders come in from the telephone, our team members plug those orders into the system, and that system moves it through the POS. And so, and when I talk about telephone orders, still, a few $100 million of revenue coming in through the telephone. So it was really important for us to have technology facilitate that order through the kitchen and through our point of sale. And then I guess the last thing I'd highlight is we're in the early stages of leveraging technology to facilitate the fulfillment in our stores. And so, we're obviously got real good at making pizzas and getting those to our guests. But now that we've added groceries, we're starting to see an uptick of grocery items added to the pizza. And so we're navigating the complexity of ambient grocery, refrigerated beverages, or beer that need to be cold, and then a hot pizza. And, while we were in the early phases, we were leveraging kind of paper and process to move that through the system. We're now stepping into leveraging technology and something I just call our fulfillment application to facilitate that.
Great. Okay. That's terrific. So the next next question concerns contactless payments and frictionless shopping experience. And I mean, before COVID-19 hit, and that was the news 24/7 on the cycle. I guess one of the biggest technology stories of the last couple of years was Amazon Go and their frictionless shopping experience, the store where you can just walk in, grab what you want, and walk out without talking to a clerk or anything like that. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something that's viable for the convenience store industry? Is that something that you believe a direction the convenience store industry is going to go in, or are there intermediate steps along the way that you feel are going to be more relevant to your customer bases? So anybody could jump in on that one who'd like to take that.
I'll just say something here, Don. I think the notion of frictionless shopping experience is a great topic. But I would challenge that topic and say having delivery capability, having order ahead, having curbside in 2,200 stores, that is all a form of frictionless shopping. And for us, that's where we devoted our time, right? We could have easily pivoted and said, let's create a in-store shopping app where our guests could scan the 2 or 3 items themselves and get out. But we chose to go after what we thought was the biggest prize. Let's unlock delivery for a couple thousand stores and curbside. And then, you can order in the app, you can pay in our app, and the exchange of the order can be no contact, right? And so to me, that feels pretty free of friction. Somebody mentioned kiosks earlier. We piloted that back in December through January in a handful of stores. I got to tell you, our guests, for some reason, it didn't resonate. And the more I thought about it, the kiosk is in your pocket. It's called your mobile phone. And so we stepped back from that and are really putting the emphasis on how do we make the mobile app easier to use, friendly, and meet those needs. Now, will we go into some sort of scan and go? Potentially, but the number one rule in C-store is you got to be convenient. And so we need to be very careful as we take those next steps.
So the one thing I would add to that, and you think about it from best practice, the just walk out service that Amazon is selling, conceptually, you can do unmanned stores. They've been around for a long time. The click and collect stuff that our company did for Asda Walmart, where you just go and pick up at a contactless, warehouse. The consumer is going to drive all this behavior. So again, back to my original point about putting the consumer in the middle, the consumer will adopt some of that technology that's convenient. And if it's convenient for them to walk in and walk out and nothing else has to be done except maybe scanning the code potentially, you're going to find the gravity will move with the consumer. It won't move with the businesses. It's great to think that way, but it's been my experience that the consumer will vote with their foot traffic, their wallet, or as contactless as they can make it for the next couple of years at least. Because the idea of us having a vaccine tomorrow and all that stuff, that's not going to change anything for a while. Some of these are structural changes that will become permanent, both from a technology and from an offer standpoint for all of your consumers.
I love your comment though about it's nothing new. I mean, Horn and Hardart was doing this with automats back years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's nothing. It is nothing new. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on contactless and frictionless stores?
We're watching it closely, but at this point in time, especially with us being travel centers, so a big part of our customer audience is the professional truck driver. It's not viable. And we've looked at maybe small applications like maybe a specific cooler that's the contactless place and things like that. But as of right now, it's in the video from your and Art's conversation. Art mentioned that they spent a lot of time talking to the customers, understanding what the customers wanted, and I think, in this area for us, it's, it's not something that our customers are demanding. We're not hearing that from them. We're certainly hearing that from the people that are selling these solutions, but not from our customers yet.
Okay. And Howard?
Yeah, I'd go along with, what Jeremy just said, and we're not hearing a lot of it from our customers. We've done the basic things with Apple Pay and Google, and those kinds of things inside the store contactless. But, we're still working on EMV, and you got to think about whether you want to invest in that contactless outside, which partner do you want to go with? It's an expensive road to go down if you don't know that, that people are really going to use it. And we're not sure that they are.
Yeah, Don, we talk a lot about innovation today. You brought up, hey, did COVID accelerate it? And all of us answered yes. What we haven't been talking about on this call, not that we need to, is we all still got to operate a business. And so, this environment, while you've got to innovate to lead and protect your market share, et cetera, we've got businesses to run. So we got to be methodical. We got to be smart. And I think everyone here has said it time and time again on this webinar is, you got to listen to your customer. And sometimes you got to predict where they're going to head, but we've got to be focused on running the business too.
Sure. I agree. What is the most crucial thing that you think all people in your organization, from the top down, from the C level down to the store level associates, need to do to ensure the success of the organization? Mike, you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to reiterate some of the stuff that we talked about before, but the sort of command and control stuff that worked maybe 20 years ago in these businesses don't work that much anymore. And a lot of innovation happens, almost at the operator level. And so if there's a clear communication up and down the organization, people talk about digital transformation all the time. The reason most digital transformations, 85% of them fail, is because most people in the org don't know and they're not communicated. So if you've got silos or you've got fiefdoms or you've got buckets of people doing things and you're not openly communicating what the sort of goal is, you end up missing the point. So everybody can point to their mission. Our mission is convenience and speed. But if everybody on the ground all the way up to the C-suite doesn't get it, a lot of times you'll see things fall apart. And that's, you see it time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Howard?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to answer to that very much what Mike said, is that it's all about communicating all the way through the execution. And if you, that's what we've found we have to do, is really talk about it and at every level. And it's been hard in the pandemic to do some of this training. You can't always get out and do face-to-face the way you want to. So you got to be more creative. And we've done some Zoom things on different things that we've added in stores with store managers and with store employees. But that communication all the way to execution, that's where it typically falls down.
Great. And Jeremy?
I think, really echoing what the other guy said, adding that, especially now that we're remote, our office staff remains remote at this time, 5+ months in, 6 months in. We could kind of stay in sync even if we didn't have good processes, just by virtue of being within arm's length of each other. Now that we're not, having a culture where we all understand our brand identity, what is our value proposition, and what's the goals for the business, that makes sure that we're all marching in the same direction, even when we're not talking to each other every day. We're not physically in the same building with each other. So that's the most important thing, is making sure that everybody understands who we are, what do we want to be to the customer, and what's our goals for the business.
Great. Well, I think it's time to turn to the audience. Let's see if we got any questions from the audience. I'll remind you again, the audience, that at the bottom of your screen, there's a little button that has a question mark on it. You hit that, you should be able to send me a question, and I'll pose that to the panelists on your behalf. Let's see what we got here. They're showing up on my phone here. Let's see. Okay, so this first one's to Art. The new Casey's logo announced today looks great. How do marketing changes like that get prioritized to be implemented into your mobile app?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. We're super excited. Today we launched a new brand logo and visual identity for Casey's. And I'd say that's about 18 to 24 months in the making. We're on this journey to create a much more modern and contemporary brand while staying close to our roots, which is we're tied to the community. So as we built the plan to launch today on October 1st, we want to make sure that we hit every touch point. So our Twitter handle, our Facebook, our Instagram, our mobile app, our website, our corporate emails, as many of the store logos as we can get. And I was in a store this morning. We missed our payment pin pads. So, there's infinite amount of places that the logo shows up. But given my comments earlier on the mobile app being a key element of our digital strategy, we made sure to update that. So the look and feel is tied to the new branding. So thanks for the question. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's great. Yep. But along the same lines, though, maybe for Jeremy, Howard, and Michael, I am curious. How do when you get marketing changes that occur? How difficult is that to implement throughout the organization? I assume marketing and technology are working more closely together today than certainly 5 years ago. Jeremy?
Yeah, there's been kind of a convergence with marketing and tech, and I'm not sure what the finished product of this looks like. Hopefully tech is the winner, so to speak. But it's really not like that. I shouldn't say that. But definitely a convergence happening there. And so we also, I think the new Casey's identity looks fantastic. I saw the news this morning. Great job, Art and team. We did a logo change post acquisition over the past few years, and kind of an identity change that's continues to be in the works. And your comment about missing the pin pads, we did the same thing. So on a different scale, but still, it really is tough. It's embedded everywhere, and it is important to be consistent and that sort of thing. So that's I think obviously the fact that you were focused on that on day one, that's important, and it's was something that we learned in the process. Is you can't half do it. You can't do it over time. You really kind of got to get it done, quickly. Otherwise, the customer gets confused, and you're sending a mixed message, and it's worse than even just not doing it.
How about
Yeah, I mean,
had a lot of changes with the new acquisition. So
yeah, there are, and I found that I've attended probably more marketing meetings lately than I used to in the past, and in pricing meetings and technology, and again, it's all about getting the right people together, communicate, and kind of the process has got to be in place, and I was talking to our VP of marketing about that this morning, getting that process so that we don't miss things. We're going to miss things along the way, but we're trying to communicate more.
Great. And Michael, what are your thoughts on this integration of marketing and technology?
Yeah, I think, and again, we sort of sit as a sort of partner with a lot of these companies, and we, they walk into a company that's got the same logo in the building, and we walk into 50 different logos. So what we try to tell people is it's very common that you have these disconnects and these breakages. What we end up doing is saying, look, every sprint, every time, there's going to have to be did we include everything? So you'd think checklists aren't a big deal, but you'd be surprised at how powerful they are, especially when you're trying to make sure that you hit every pin pad in every store across the entire network. Or the app store, when you're putting your app in the app store, we have a whole app store optimization checklist that you go through and make sure that you do it the same way every time, so that you don't have Apple saying, hold on, you put in-app delivery in, we have to have a conversation. You hit those things in advance and talk to Apple before, so you can avoid some of these problems. But I agree, it's one of those things where if you're not checklisting your way through, simple is really hard.
Mm-hmm. So we got a similar question that just came in. So as companies, are we looking for techies that can do marketing, or marketing or marketers that are techies? We've struggled with a gap between the two, and it is difficult to be a cohesive team. Any random thoughts on that topic, guys?
Yeah, I think you need both, right? I mean, we're right now looking for engineers who specialize in some of the technology. We've stood up Salesforce engineers, Hybris engineers, MuleSoft. for those, you've got to be real techie, right? You've got to be close to the code. You got to know how to develop. You got to also participate in strategic meetings. But my marketing automation team, they're a little bit of MarTech, right? So they're operating Salesforce and automating the email sends and optimizing touch points. They're a combination of creative marketers and technologists. So I think ultimately it depends on the role you're trying to fill. But what I would say, I've been here 2 years and started with a team of 3 and built it, to 40 or so. You got to have a little bit of everything as you build the team out, and just be cautious of that.
Any other thoughts on that? I would agree.
Yeah, we have to staff teams a lot, and I chuckle when I hear people ask those questions, because the reality is I think to Art's point, you're looking for both, but what you're trying to do is have, the one thing that people are trying to figure out, if you go through LinkedIn profiles all day, if you're a recruiter, people want to talk about all the languages they do, the whole stack of things they do. And then somebody else wants to talk about all the stuff they know about the business. There's a unicorn mentality around some of these people. And the trick is finding somebody who's really passionate about what it is they're into. And we do this all the time. So we say to people, look, tell me what you're super excited about, the most exciting thing that you've ever done, and let's see if we can replicate that. So I think you sort of have to check a box on qualifications, but you really want to find somebody who's passionate about what they do, and you can train them and teach them, and they can take 1 million online courses to find out if they can get good at something. But if you've got the passion, you can actually figure it out.
Right. Well, listen, we're a little over on time now, so we're going to go back. Let me thank you all. You guys have been terrific. This was a very, very enlightening discussion. I know I learned a lot, and I hope our audience also learned a lot. I'm going to return to the podium in a few minutes. Meanwhile, I encourage our audience to once again talk among yourselves and network, and we'll be right back to you with some closing comments. Thank you. Hi again. But before we close, I want to thank Art, Jeremy, Howard, and Michael for participating in our panel discussion. I'll repeat what I said earlier. I thought it was very, very interesting. I also want to thank our sponsor, Mobiquity, for their sponsorship and the thought leadership they've shown here today. Let me remind everyone that part 2 of our technology leadership series will be held next Thursday, October 8th. That session will include a conversation with our 2020 Technology Leader of the Year, Gus Olympidis, the CEO and founder of Family Express convenience stores. We'll also feature another roundtable discussion covering such topics as business intelligence and its role in the C-store channel, store-level inventory management, replacing aging POS systems, and the big topic, EMV compliance at the forecourt. Next week, Jeremy and Howard will be joined as panelists by Eric Jones, Chief Innovation Officer at Parker's Convenience Stores in Savannah, Georgia. I hope you all join us again. For now, we welcome you to stay here a while. We'll keep the room open until about 3 o'clock, so you can mingle and chat among yourselves if you'd like. And until next week, goodbye and stay safe. Thank you.